Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I continue my trek through the world of the challenge for the first time with episode 5 of the Challenge USA Season 2. It's definitely been something crazy to watch. Some of these people are just absolutely insane. Like, this has just been crazy, right? Because like I said, this is my introduction to this world, trying to figure out who, the what, the when, the where, the how. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to understand like what is going on with some of this stuff. But obviously, the episode kicks off with Chris is kind of coming out some folks. The rookies are starting to look at each other, and the vets are kind of enjoying it because they can kind of sit back and enjoy the ride. They've been the target throughout these first part of these episodes, so they're trying to make sure they step back. Now, of course, Wes is talking to the green team, talking about how they blindsided him, and then McCullough kind of just tells the camera, she's like, she wants Wes to know that he doesn't run shit, which, I mean, you've got to let them know that. You know, these are veterans. They've been doing this for a hot minute. So she wants them to know they also need him at the same time. Cassidy talks about her family and the things that she's gone through, including losing her sister, and mentions what she's fighting for. What I've noticed is, in watching these episodes, you can kind of get a hint of who might be going to battle or who's going to be at the forefront of the episode by just little tidbits of who the characters that they feature throughout the episode. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not onto something. I don't know, but it's definitely interesting. Wes has decided that he's going to be the goofy guy that makes everyone laugh so that they keep him around for his laughing and joking. Whatever works for my guy. You know what I mean? Also, it's game time. Unboxed is the name of the challenge, with each person having to hold a box, and it has a puzzle inside of it. And they will carry the box throughout the forest in search of the finish line. There's 5 puzzle stations along the way. They can't leave the puzzle station until the puzzle's solved. So if you stop at the puzzle station, you have to solve the puzzle. If you don't solve the puzzle, you can't leave. So the first team, each puzzle station is first come, first serve. The first team to cross the finish line, they will be safe from elimination tonight. All right. At the beginning, everyone seems to be struggling. These boxes are match the body weight of the individual that was picking it up. So obviously there were certain aspects of the game. They were trying to get the biggest boxes, the weight of the biggest boxes off certain people. So it's brilliant competition there in trying to figure that part of it out. The blue team got the first puzzle piece down. Now they're in first place. Green team was second place, shortly behind the blue team, with the red team closely following behind in third. Blue team tries to get into another puzzle, but green flies by them, skipping a puzzle. Green team makes the decision to, instead of keep on going and trying to solve puzzles, get all the way, they just go for the finish line, which I thought was a great idea. They did the puzzle, got rid of one box, boom, they're done, right? You know what I mean? So blue team gets the puzzle, green is passing the second and third puzzle area as well. They just keep trekking. And blue team decides to kind of do the same. And the competition kind of comes down to the green and blue team, with the red team kind of just in the back of the pack a little bit. So as a result, we got a not very close finish line. Let's be real. It comes down to green and blue. They got green team wins, which I thought this was interesting. I didn't think that I loved this because, let's be honest, they won. They're shorthanded, right? They have the least amount of people, least amount of weight, least amount of boxes, least amount of things to figure out. So as a result, of course they're going to win. Like, I just thought that I'm very kind of confused how that's necessarily fair. We keep picking off your team because your team sucks, and we keep on beating you and beating you down, but your team keeps on, like, you have a small amount of people, so you have this competitive advantage. I don't understand. Whatever. Wes wants to break up the survivor block on the blue team. He's offering a temporary ceasefire between Tyler Monte and the challengers, and as a result, he makes a deal just in time for them to sit down and talk about it. Michaela proclaims at the table that she doesn't want 2 survivor people going up against each other. Tyler brings up Tony and Chris, wanting them to be put up. Weston mentions that he wants to spread the blame out and wants to vote for Cassidy. Michaela reiterates she doesn't want to put up 2 survivor people. Well, guess what? Sorry, Michaela, you've been outvoted. Cassidy and Chris are heading into the pressure cooker. Corey is happy because it's obviously pinning Big Brother versus Survivor, and now the vets can take a step back and chill. Cassidy, obviously pissed off, and you see what I mean by, like, kind of just like a little tidbit of seeing what's going to happen ahead. You know what I mean? Maybe at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to take a peek at this next episode and like, did they really hone in on one person at the beginning of the episode, and did that person compete later in the show? Because if they did, you kind of put 2 and 2 together before you even know who's in the competition. But we're having a mini bachelor competition via the girls throwing a party. Each guy is presenting their case of why they should be voted the winner. Cassidy gets pissed off when all the women want to vote for Wes. She's taking everything personally. Josh and Cassidy are getting a little smitten by each other. So obviously Josh is not wanting Cassidy to go anywhere. The vets are throwing in the hat trick by throwing all the names in a hat. Each person will pick out a name out of the hat, and that's who they're going to vote for. As a result, at the competition, we're getting ready to fire up here. Tiffany ended up with 4 votes. Fessy got 1 vote. Desi got 1 vote. Alyssa L got 1 vote. Sebastian got 1 vote. Chanel got 2 votes. And then, of course, Dusty got 4 votes. So many different names because of what the vets did. You know what I mean? They all picked somebody else. Each vet, I think there's 4 or 5 vets left. Each one of them picked a different name out of the hat and voted for them. So it just kind of throws a curveball of who's doing what in the house. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. I kind of liked how they did that. But Dusty's pissed because someone lied to him. And then, of course, our host TJ lets everybody know that Cassidy is the one going to be doing battle tonight. Meaning Chris is safe. She will be taking on Alyssa L. It's so crazy to me that you have so many different balls. You had Dusty with 4 balls. You had Tiffany with 4 balls. Chanel with 2 balls. Alyssa had 1 ball in the hopper and gets put into the competition 1-on-1 versus Cassidy. Again, I love certain aspects of that. You know what I mean? Because it's like you have a strategic advantage. You're trying to do something, and yet it fails because one ball hops out of the hopper, and it's just the 1 vote. It's crazy to think. All right. The game is blockheads. Each person will have a cage, and they'll be locked in the cage. Around the arena, you have to roll around and grab 4 flags. Once you grab those 4 flags, whoever gets to the finish line, you get to go to this little light area. It reveals a code. You open the code reveals, and then you have to reach out, unlock the lock, and then, of course, you get out. The first person who gets out of their cage wins the game. This competition was fierce because at first you start to see the ladies kind of struggle with moving the cage. You know what I mean? Kind of reminding you of American Gladiators, except for a ball is a square, so they had to maneuver it. This was probably one of the harder, more physical competitions that we've seen so far, as they both struggled to get to where they were at. At first, it looked like Alyssa was going to be the winner. She kind of got those first 2 flags first. Cassidy kind of came in. But when we get to the final flag, they both get to their respective final flag almost at the same time. And then when we get towards the finish line, do you realize they have to have all 4 flags flat together, and then they have to shine it over this light. Once they shine it over the light, it gives them the number. Well, at first, Cassidy she couldn't line it up the way she was, so she had to flip her cage back a little bit, flip it back. At the same time, Alyssa was trying to do the same thing. She couldn't maneuver it, so she had to maneuver her way a different way. Like it was taking all of this energy for them to do this. It was insane, incredible. I really liked it. Obviously, finally, Cassidy gets the cage straight. Alyssa kind of finally might actually do it at the same time, but Cassidy gets out of the cage, sending Alyssa home, kind of screwing the green team because neither one of the people that they wanted to ship out went home, but at the same time, they still got rid of somebody from the blue team. Obviously, as Cassidy won, she could switch teams, but she said she's going to stay with the blue team, which isn't much surprising. They are a pretty strong team. Now, what do we have to look forward to Sunday's episode? I think the aftermath of figuring out who voted for who, right? You know what I mean? How are they going to put 2 and 2 together to realize that the veterans are really trying to play sabotage here? Because now it's Survivor versus Big Brother, and the challenge folks are just kind of chilling in the background like y'all do y'all. So it's definitely interesting to see how they're going to handle that. Will the vets continue to play in their favors of playing behind the scenes? Who's going to win the next competition? Who's going to be eliminated? So much ongoing things. Speaking of ongoing things, here at the Love and Reality Podcast, I have made the challenge, my weekly challenge reviews of the show, exclusively here on my YouTube channel. But if you're a fan of podcasts and if you're a fan of other love-based reality shows like The Ultimatum Temptation Island. I have episodes airing each and every week over on my podcast, which you could find by searching Love and Reality across all podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. The list goes on and on and on. And of course, here on the YouTube page, those same podcasts are released on a daily, if not weekly basis. I've been covering the CW show Fight to Survive, which has been fantastic. Episodes air of that on Thursday. Of course, next week is, I think it's the 31st. So next week is going to be, I think, the first episode of the season. That is just one episode. You'll have episode 5 and 6. Episode 6 airs this Sunday for the challenge. And then, of course, I think after next week, it's going to be one episode a week. So we got one more week of 2 more episodes. So as a result, I will see you guys on Sunday.